Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Here, we embrace true femininity. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update.
Jacob's heart raced as he clutched the stolen pair of panties from Victoria's Secret in his trembling hands. The delicate lace and satin fabric seemed to mock him, whispering secrets of forbidden desires. He couldn't believe what he had done. The thrill of theft had consumed him, awakening a darkness that he never knew existed within. As he hurried through the dimly lit streets, Jacob couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. Shadows danced and twisted around him, creating sinister shapes that seemed to reach out for him. The once familiar surroundings turned into a labyrinth of unease, amplifying his guilt with every step. But it was when he reached his apartment that the real nightmare began. The moment Jacob stepped inside, an oppressive heaviness settled upon him as though an unseen force was suffocating the air. The stolen panties burned in his pocket, as if screaming out for justice. Strange occurrences unfolded with each passing night. Whispers echoed through the hallways, growing louder as Jacob lay awake in bed, consumed by paranoia and guilt. He would catch glimpses of a figure in his peripheral vision, a ghost-like spectre draped in translucent garments that swayed with an ethereal grace. Every morning he would awaken to find the stolen panties placed meticulously on his bedside table, no longer hidden away in his pocket. Each time they reappeared, their presence became more malevolent, their message clear: there was no escaping what he had done. Jacob's mind started to unravel under the weight of his transgression. Visions plagued his waking hours, twisted nightmares that blurred the line between reality and insanity. He understood that the only way he could keep them hidden and to not get caught for this crime was if he would be wearing them every day. This way, even if someone searched his house, nobody would find it. Jacob's descent into darkness continued as he succumbed to the haunting presence that surrounded him. Fear and desperation pushed him to wear the stolen panties, hoping that by doing so, he would appease whatever malevolent forces were at play. Days turned into weeks, and Jacob became a slave to his own guilt. The weight of the panties against his skin felt like a constant reminder of his sins. Their touch was both a torment and a perverse comfort, as if they held the key to his redemption or his damnation. As he ventured out into the world wearing the stolen lingerie beneath his clothes, Jacob couldn't escape the feeling of being watched. People's gazes seemed to linger a little too long, their eyes filled with an unholy awareness that sent shivers down his spine. He was a marked man, forever branded by his transgression. The nights became even more treacherous. Jacob's dreams transformed into twisted nightmares where faceless figures chased him through a maze of dark corridors. The sound of laughter echoed in his mind, mocking his every step. He could no longer discern between reality and hallucination, trapped in a waking nightmare that showed no sign of release. The walls of his apartment seemed to close in on him, suffocating him further. Shadows danced along the peeling wallpaper, whispering secrets he dared not acknowledge. It became clear that there was no escaping the consequences of his actions. They were woven into the very fabric of his existence. Desperation gripped Jacob's soul as he sought solace in forbidden rituals and dark arts. He delved deep into occult books and practiced ancient spells, hoping to find a way to break the cursed hold that the stolen panties had on him. Each night, he lit candles and drew intricate symbols on the floor, invoking names that should never be spoken aloud. The air grew heavy with the scent of incense, mingling with the unmistakable stench of decay. But the more he dabbled in the occult, the further he spiraled into madness. The nightmares became more vivid, more sinister. Shadows whispered in his ear, their voices like venomous serpents slithering through his mind. They promised him redemption, but at a terrifying price. One moonlit night, as Jacob stood in the center of his ritual circle, surrounded by flickering flames and tattered grimoires, a figure materialized before him. It was a woman, her form ethereal and otherworldly. Her eyes bore into his soul, filled with equal parts sorrow and malevolence. "I know your desires," she hissed, her voice echoing through the room. I can grant you release from this torment. Jacob's heart pounded in his chest as hope mingled with fear. He longed to be free of the haunting visions that plagued him day and night. But what price would this enigmatic figure demand in return? Anything, Jacob whispered, his voice barely audible. I will do anything to be rid of this curse. A wicked smile curled upon the woman's lips, revealing rows of sharpened teeth. She extended a slender hand towards him. Give me your soul, she demanded. In exchange for your freedom. The room grew colder as Jacob hesitated. He knew the consequences of such a pact, but still agreed. As soon as he said yes, he got transformed into a beautiful woman, permanently. The figure's laughter reverberated through the room, a chilling sound that sent shivers crawling up Jacob's newly formed spine. His body trembled, not only from the cold, but also from the realization of what he had done. You have sealed your fate, the woman sneered, her voice dripping with satisfaction. From this moment on, you will forever be confined to the form you now possess. Jacob looked down at his slender hands, no longer calloused and rough. His once muscular frame was replaced by curves and softness. Panic welled up inside him as his mind struggled to comprehend the magnitude of his transformation. Please, he pleaded, his voice now higher and more delicate than before. Is there no way to undo this? To undo what I have become? The woman's eyes gleamed with amusement as she shook her head. Once the pact is made, it cannot be undone. Your soul is mine now, forever bound to its new vessel. Despair crashed over Jacob like a relentless wave. He had hoped for liberation from the curse that tormented him, but instead he had exchanged one torment for another. The woman's cackles echoed in his ears, mocking his naivety. Days turned into weeks and then into months as Jacob tried to adjust to his new existence. People around him saw an enchanting woman, oblivious to the turmoil brewing within her. She existed on borrowed time, haunted by a stolen identity. She then realized, there was no going back. And the only way to move forward would be by embracing herself in her new identity. She began to explore her newfound femininity with curiosity and trepidation, stepping into a world that had once seemed so foreign to her. Jacob, now known as Jacqueline, delved into the realm of makeup tutorials and fashion magazines, determined to understand the nuances of womanhood that had eluded her before. As she experimented with different styles and looks, Jacqueline discovered the power of feminine allure. Men would gaze at her with desire, their eyes lingering on her delicate features and flowing tresses. It was intoxicating, yet bittersweet. She couldn't help but wonder if they would still find her captivating if they knew the truth behind her transformation. But among the superficial trappings of femininity, Jacqueline found solace in moments of quiet introspection. She discovered an empathy within herself that she had never experienced before. No longer bound by societal expectations of masculinity, she embraced her tender emotions and nurtured them like fragile blossoms. In time, she began to build meaningful connections with others, weaving a web of relationships that cradled her fragile heart. Friends confided in her, drawn to her compassionate nature. They sought solace in her gentle touch and kind words. Jacqueline realized that even though her body may have changed, the essence of who she was still resided within. One day, while strolling through a picturesque park, Jacqueline encountered a young girl sitting alone on a bench. The girl's face was etched with sadness as tears streaked down her cheeks. Compelled by an unseen force, Jacqueline approached and took a seat beside her. "What troubles you, dear?" Jacqueline asked softly, placing a comforting hand on the girl's shoulder. The girl sniffled, wiping away her tears with the back of her hand. I lost my puppy," she managed to say amidst hiccups of sorrow. "I don't know what to do." Jacqueline's heart ached for the young girl. She knew all too well how it felt to lose something precious, to be adrift in a sea of uncertainty. Without hesitation, she pulled the girl into a gentle embrace, offering solace in her warm presence. "Don't worry," Jacqueline whispered soothingly. "We'll find your puppy together." "What's their name?" "Snuggles," the girl replied, her voice muffled against Jacqueline's shoulder. They sat there in silence for a moment, exchanging unspoken understanding. Jacqueline knew that sometimes, healing began with the simplest acts of kindness. With renewed determination, she stood up and held out her hand to the girl. "Let's go on an adventure, shall we?" "Snuggles needs us," Jacqueline said, a glint of excitement gleaming in her eyes. The girl nodded eagerly, a flicker of hope rekindling within her gaze. Hand in hand, they embarked on their quest to find the missing pup. They traversed winding paths and scanned every nook and cranny, calling out Snuggles' name with unwavering optimism. As they searched, Jacqueline shared stories from her own life, tales of loss and self-discovery. She spoke about embracing change and finding strength within oneself. The girl listened intently, captivated by Jacqueline's words that resonated deep within her wounded heart. Hours passed, and just as the sun was beginning to set on the horizon, their efforts were rewarded. Amidst a thicket of bushes, they heard a faint whimpering. Following the sound, they pushed aside the branches to reveal a small, trembling ball of fur, Snuggles. Tears of joy welled up in the girl's eyes as she scooped her beloved puppy into her arms. Snuggles licked her face with unbridled excitement, as if thanking both Jacqueline and the young girl for their unwavering determination. Jacqueline watched the heartwarming reunion with a sense of fulfillment. She had not only helped the girl find her puppy, she had also imparted valuable life lessons along the way. Their adventure had brought them closer together, forging a bond that would withstand the test of time. With Snuggles safely in their care, Jacqueline and the girl made their way back home. The girl's tears were now replaced with a radiant smile, and Jacqueline couldn't help but feel a swell of pride in her chest. In the days that followed, Jacqueline became an integral part of their lives. She visited often, sharing more stories and imparting wisdom to both the girl and Snuggles. The girl's innocence mixed with Jacqueline's wisdom created an enchanting dynamic that nurtured growth and understanding. As years went by, that little girl grew into a confident young woman, guided by the lessons and love bestowed upon her by Jacqueline. Their bond remained unbreakable, even as life took them on separate paths. Through it all, Jacqueline never ceased to amaze those she encountered with her unwavering compassion and gentle strength. Her presence was like a comforting hug, a beacon of light in the darkest of times. She became a pillar of support for countless individuals, offering solace and guidance to those in need.